Hey everybody, this is Michael once again. So today's quote is from Lucius Seneca, and he's getting more popular nowadays, so you might hear his name more often, which is good. Always check his stuff out. But he once said, "All cruelty springs from weakness." Now that seems to be pretty true, pretty accurate, because if you look at any, let's take some of the major historical characters who are not known for doing something good. Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Hitler, Stalin. These are not good people. These are not people you should emulate, and nor should you really agree with most of what they say. And if you look at, if you read any of their books or if you look at their personal lives, you will see that it's actually, they're really kind of insecure and really weak people. Uh, because if you're a strong person, you should be able to have your idea, and your principles, moral set, and you can hear the other side and have it be questioned and have it be, kind of taken apart best it can. And you should be able to, like, okay, and then you can present a counter argument or just like, you know what, I see your point, but I disagree, and you can continue along your way. But it just seems like nowadays, if someone has a different opinion, it's completely blasphemous that you can have any other opinion that doesn't align with theirs. And a lot of these, I'll just use the term SJW, social justice warriors, these people who spend an ungodly amount of time on Twitter or just consuming YouTube videos about one thing or another, like that to me kind of shows a bit of emotional weakness. And what I mean by that is, like, someone is going to have a different opinion of you, of what you do, of like that, and that's okay. You can have different opinions. Like, some people, like, you might look at this video and think, wow, that's a stupid hat and that's a stupid Superman shirt. Well, I disagree. I love this hat and I love this shirt and I love Superman. People say he's a boring, hero. I think he's one of the best, and I feel like he hasn't been given to the right or correct writer or director, however you want to put it. And that's okay. You can disagree with it. But then when you start arguing and you start trying to cancel the person for having a different opinion, that to me is really egregious, especially since canceling means that you are trying to prevent that person from working ever again. And if they're, like an example, I saw a YouTube video of, some comic book writer, and he said something, I guess, not so great. I don't follow drama like that, and for good reason. And the video was just playing. I just let YouTube play in the background for hours on end. I probably shouldn't. And they were talking about how this writer said something like 10 years ago, and they're going to cancel him. And I just thought how kind of messed up. Like, you have no idea if he actually still agrees that way. What did he say? Was it like super egregious anyway? Super offensive? Same time, if you get easily offended by someone else's opinions or thoughts, maybe take a step back and kind of evaluate yourself, because you may not be as mentally or emotionally strong as you believe yourself to be. And I do believe that is the case with a lot of people. There are many, many scenarios where I believe I'm a lot stronger mentally, emotionally, especially physically when I hit the gym. And you realize that you're not Superman strength. You're not, running like the Flash or anything like that. Or you're not as smart as Einstein when it comes to math. Or, and that's okay. That's because we all need that humbling feeling, because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't know how to improve. We wouldn't know how to progress as an individual. And as an individual, we need to be able to sit down and hear the other side of the argument and hear that debate and pull apart our principles and standards, because how do you know you're not becoming a Nazi? I don't know if YouTube will strike me or anything like that, but then again, my channel's so small, I probably I don't even show up as a blip. But like, so the question is how do you know you're not a Nazi? And one thing is like, this Antifa movement, like, at first I was like, okay, cool, anti-fascist. I'm pretty sure we all can agree we're all anti-fascists. But if you look at their tactics and how they go about it, I'm like, I can't tell the difference between you and the early Nazis. Like, you are literally doing the same exact tactics they are. You're literally doing the same methods. They're in all black. They're covering their face, and I'm like, if it's such a righteous cause that you should be able to unmask and be like, here I am. I'm fighting for this good righteous cause. But if you have to hide your face for a cause, maybe take a step back and think about it. And also, isn't that the beauty of America, is that we were supposed to all have our own opinions? And, whatever happened to that, like, oh, well, that's your opinion. I disagree, but I'll defend your right, with it. I'm like, what happened to that? And maybe it's because we did get soft. We did get weak. We have weakened as a nation. And I guess you can kind of say that. I guess you can kind of say, I don't like saying that. It sounds really negative, but the argument is definitely, it can be made. I won't say it's there, but the argument can certainly be made. And that's why it's always important for us to kind of step back and kind of ask ourselves really hard questions. It's, if you're part of this movement that's, Antifa, I'm just using them as an example, step back and really evaluate, and that's also, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Like, so these people are claiming to be anti-fascist, and yet, as a third party, as an observer, I can't tell the difference between them and the supposed fascists that they are, protesting about. Like, another example, there's a YouTuber. He became, I don't really watch him. I know of him, but essentially, he goes on these kind of tangents about pronouns, and yet in his YouTube title there's a pronoun, but his pronoun isn't gender based, it is race based, and it's something black something, his name. And so I was like, okay, so why is your pronoun better than theirs? Like, you're asking for people to recognize your ethnicity or part ethnicity. Well, it's by the end of the day, it's just another pronoun. And unfortunately, some of these people haven't stopped and really looked at it. So, as an observer, like I said, it just seems like all these people are a little too mentally insecure, emotionally insecure to ask themselves, look in the mirror and be like, hey, are you a Nazi? And like, really, like, well, no, I'm better than them. Okay, how? How are you? What do you do that is better than them? What is something that you do that they don't, right? But if you're marching in the streets wearing, waving black and red, white flags and using violence to coerce someone to your opinion or side, it doesn't really seem like that's, it doesn't really seem like you're that much different. And, so, and I don't know, I kind of went on a tangent about this, because you need to ask yourself, am I capable of acts of cruelty? And the answer for all of us is yes, because we're all capable of that. We all have that terrible, horrible, dark side to us. So you have to ask yourself, am I different from the supposedly evil people? And asking yourself that question honestly and sincerely takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. And if you don't do that, then you may be not as strong as you believe. And only by diving into that and asking yourself that can you actually improve upon it. Because if you go to the gym and you can only lift 5 pounds, well, then that's your limit. Well, then you know how and where to improve upon. You need to go in and start lifting more, 5 pounds, and you stress and you work on that. But because if you stay a weak person, you will become resentful, you'll become bitter, you'll become jealous. And I know this because I was the same way. I'd look at a guy and he'd be ripped, and I'm like, oh man, he's this and that. And well, what it was is I was focusing too much on them and not enough on myself. And then on yourself, you gotta, if you want to be a strong person, you gotta ask yourself some real difficult questions. So, yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is, because if you're not constantly improving yourself, you can't improve the world around you. Lead by example. Model your what you want, the change to be. So model that, bring that around through your own actions. And yeah, so because all cruelty springs from weakness. And Lucius Seneca once said that. So you kind of always have to ask yourself, am I weak? Where can I improve? I mean, and even that, like, am I weak? That can be a hurtful, painful question. But you'd much rather ask yourself that and come up with that question, that answer by yourself, than have someone come up and tell you, hey, you're weak. Because that stings a little bit more sometimes. But anyway, thanks so much, everyone. I hope this works well. This kind of a bit off the cuff tangent. Yeah, so take it easy. Have a great day.